Every OG silverback, every OG silver stacker, we look at this metal, this silver I'm holding in my hand, and we feel like, yes, this is absolutely the smartest move. Well, what Trump has done over the past 12 months has really changed the game, and there could be something much smarter for us to be doing. Check this out. If you're interested in silver, click that link in the description. Money Miles is holding this contest. They're giving away 20 silver eagles, 20 eagles every month. I put a link down below. Click that link. Do not leave 20 eagles sitting on the table. Don't be that guy. Click that link. Be the next winner on that list and take home that silver. Even my wife is interested in critical minerals these days, and that tells me a lot because I feel like just like 2 years ago when people, the public at least, started talking about semiconductors, now it's critical minerals. Everyone's interested in investing in critical minerals. So can you tell me where you at Silver Elephant, where you guys are at?
Yeah, certainly. When you talk about critical minerals, it's a relatively new definition, and as defined by USGS, which is U.S. Geological Survey, had recently published, I believe, around 36 or 45 elements that are classified as critical minerals. So if you look at the periodic table, interestingly, it shows that around maybe a third of elements that are almost exclusively produced in China and that are very much needed in the United States. So I think a classic example would be what Silver Elephant exploring, which is germanium, and that is something that really never really much spoken of, but acts very much like rare earth, and is what I call it's almost what I call it as a Robin to the Batman, meaning that you don't hear about often, but you cannot do without.
Yeah.
It's a better example is maybe rare earth, because that's something that's being talked about more recently and more pronounced than maybe the other critical or trace minerals. In that rare earth elements are used for magnets, and magnets are used for everything like transportation, weaponry, when such as train and military weaponry, and also semiconductors. It's never talked about until about 2 years ago, when China weaponized
Yeah.
the supply of rare earth, which dominates over 60% of the production from China. Not only is China, not only is there are really a couple of things to talk about regarding rare earth is that sometimes these elements are very rare, but also sometimes they're very difficult to extract and to refine and to process. And in the case of rare earth, it's actually the latter, meaning that rare earth is actually quite common on Earth, including their projects in the United States that are a more common occurrence. But it's just that people didn't bother to study the technology or the process of extracting rare earth once they're being mined out of the ground, of which there is a very small concentration of these elements, kind of like silver, for example,
Yeah.
right? And so, like, for example, a typical silver mine nowadays, you'll be hard pressed to find more than 200 grams per ton of silver in the ground. And from that, you gotta process that to 999 kilos and 99 and 900 grams out of 1,000 kilogram. So you can think of that process from less than 0.1% to 99.9% of what you see in the silver coin. Much the same you have to go through for rare earth, as an example.
And is it
Germanium,
also a byproduct?
in the case of rare earth, it is a byproduct. Well, rare earth is quite complex. In the case of rare earth, there's actually 16 different elements that constitute what you call the rare earth. So there is the light rare earth elements, and there's also the heavy rare earth elements. And that's why I was saying that in the case of rare earth, it's actually quite common, but because they are very difficult to separate, in that they always come together on different compositions, and it's kind of like I'm trying to think of an example It just they're often very glued together, even at the element level, at atomic level. That's why it's very difficult to separate. In the case of germanium, it's very much the same chapter, except germanium is even a stronger case to speak investment case than rare earth, in that it's mostly produced in China and is very, very rare. And that's why the price of germanium's gone up more than 10 times in the last decade. So you used to be looking at around less than $20 an ounce of germanium, like the same price of silver back in 2015. But now an ounce germanium, you're looking at close to $300 an ounce.
Wow.
Yes, yes. So the way I look at germanium, just as a primer or as an intro, in that germanium is there are two specific characteristics regarding germanium. And we're just about to publish a white paper, Silver Elephant, which will be uploaded onto our website at silverelephant.com. One is that it has a very high reflective index. So what I mean by that is that once a light passes through germanium, the metal, it actually bends at a very steep angle. So it could be used to manipulate or to manage the angle of travel for light. And you ask, Mar, why you want to do that? Imagine you have a infrared camera, for example, right? You want to be able to gather or distill or concentrate a very big image onto a very narrow end product to be seen on maybe a radar or infrared sensor. So you're gathering all that information and then have that imprinted onto a very small area. So you have to be able to manipulate the angles of this infrared image onto a smaller and reduce that to a much smaller image. So the way you do that is a concave concave germanium lens. So the second quality is very important. Is in addition to having a very high reflective index, is that germanium is invisible or completely transparent to infrared and also to light. So what I mean by that, earlier today we were just trying to find some layman's term to sort of give a germanium 101, in that you literally have the metal of germanium, and then you can actually see through light. It's invisible to infrared and to light. So it's almost like a Superman's vision. You can see through. And it's very, very important because you want to capture the image of infrared, for example, which is a heat map, right? You want to capture a total picture of that heat map. You don't want to have any data loss. You don't want to have any loss of that image through transmission. Similarly, germanium can see through light 100% without any loss of the light. And what that comes used for is fiber optics, because fiber optics transfers data through pulsation of light. And so nowadays you got millions of miles of fiber optics cables on the seabed and everywhere, and that is higher transmission rate of light. So the data is transmitted via the pulse of light, via the signals of light. But then when you think about transmission of light through thousands of miles of fiber optic cables, these cables are being coated with germanium oxide, because for two reasons. Because germanium oxide can bend the light so that the light can travel through the cables through thousands of miles. And secondly, fiber optic cables, but secondly, germanium can bend, right, and enable the traveling of these lights without the loss of the signals per se. So that's why these two primary applications. One is infrared. Think of a missile sensors. Think of these F-15 movie like the Mavericks. You have the missile that's chasing the airplane. The reason they can do that is because there is reflection of heat from the airplanes, and also from movements of targets. And so one is infrared from that regard, and secondly is fiber optics, actually the most common use
And
of,
how's
of
Silver Elephant doing with pulling this from the ground?
Right. The process is that we're pulling germanium out of the ground at the grade, actually very similar to that of silver at around close to about 200 grams per ton. And from there, you gotta have to float it. I think we talked about it last time on your channel about how you can get silver, what happens to the silver out of the ground. So you're getting up 200 grams, which is let me think, 200 grams, that would be point zero two point zero two kilograms out of the ground, and then you will flow that into around 2 kilos out of the ground, 2,000 grams, and then from there you have to smelt it, which means you literally burn those materials to further get the concentration level up to around 80 to 90% of germanium, or in the case of silver, it's the same. And from there, you have to refine it. So the process is get the stuff out of the ground and concentrate it. The way you concentrate it is you grind it into a powder, and you apply the agent to float it, to separate it, kind of like the gravity separation or magnetic separation. In the case of germanium and silver, it's just through a different reagents. And then from there, you get to the concentration at around 2 kilos per ton, and from there you'll burn it, you'll go smelt it to about 70% purity, and from there you refine it into about 99% purity.
Huh. So I would assume that there's a lot of competition, not just Silver Elephant, of other mines desperate to get this germanium out of the ground.
Not unlike rare earth, there's not a whole lot of germanium occurrences
Huh.
on Earth, which means germanium is very, very hard to find.
Oh.
Like silver, germanium is mostly occurred as a byproduct mineral
Mhm.
that are closely related to zinc, just like silver.
Okay.
And so, like in the case of our project, there is a small amount of silver, but the project is predominantly a silver mine with the germanium byproduct. In Kentucky, per se, and location, there's a lot to talk about location for minerals, just like real estate, which is location, location, and location.
Yeah.
In the case of this project, it's called Robinson Lasher. That's operated by Silver Elephant. It's a driving distance around 100 miles away from a town called Clarksville, Tennessee. And what's special about Clarksville, Tennessee, is that there is active construction, which is just broken ground of a $7 billion critical mineral smelter and refinery that can recover up to 12 minerals, including germanium, gallium, bismuth, antimony, gold and silver, zinc and lead, and arsenic. So the technology is taken from Korean Zinc, which is operating the world's largest smelter refiner of its kind to recover critical minerals. So the Koreans have taken the technology to onshore to the U.S., and the U.S. government actually is funding the tap of $7 billion to get this project moving. And the reason location is chosen is because Kentucky/Tennessee border area is one of the very few in the United States that has documented history and production of germanium and gallium and bismuth and gold and silver in this area. That's been very much overlooked. For some reason, actually, Mark, we don't know why. Maybe because last 50 years, China has flooded these critical minerals in the market very cheaply, and so the production of critical minerals, or for any minerals for that matter, has stopped in the last 30 years in the United States. But we strongly believe over time, in the next 20, 30 years, U.S. In a number of locations like Nevada for gold, Utah for Texas for uranium, and in the case of Kentucky and for Kentucky and Tennessee is critical minerals. Is going to be it's going to respark a new chapter in this renaissance for mining, extraction, and recover of critical minerals, along with gold and silver and uranium and nickel, and just about a lot of the elements in the periodic table actually has existence in the U.S., but just has stopped production in the last 50 years.
Well, it's very exciting. There's links down below from this video. People could check out Silver Elephant.